Let me introduce you to someone who's opened my eyes on the subject, Michelle Chula-Lipkin. She's Executive Director of the National Association for Media Literacy Education, and she's here with me in New York. Michelle, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Brian.
We were on a panel about this earlier in the week. We were talking about how the president tweets what he hears on Fox News. He tweets what he reads on Breitbart. Is he, in a way, media illiterate?
Well, I think you have to start with the definition of media literacy. So if you look at media literacy as the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act using all forms of media, the president actually does some of those things quite well, right? He's communicating a lot, he's accessing technology. But where he and many Americans are lacking is the ability to analyze and evaluate. And
to know if it's true or not.
Yes, and also to really understand the source and understand the all the things that go into making the media and who is telling the story. There's a lot of key questions that we need to be asking ourselves to truly be able to analyze and evaluate media.
You're making it sound like many politicians, Democrats and Republicans alike, probably fall down this media literacy challenge.
Absolutely. I think it's not even just a political issue, right? As a country, we are falling down a little bit on our media literacy because we're not teaching it enough, right? It's not a mandate in our education system to make our kids media literate, and therefore I think we're doing a lot of people a disservice.
And that's not just news. That's also about entertainment programming. It's about advertising. We're not teaching children how to perceive all the messages they're receiving. But about news, I've been thinking about media literacy and educating myself when it comes to fake news. These stories that are out there on Facebook designed to deceive people. Is media literacy, is becoming more literate about news, a solution to this fake news plague?
Well, I think I do take issue with the conversation about fake news just because I think it limits the broader issue that we're dealing with. Because the conversation about fake news really makes it seem like the information landscape is about this is fiction or this is fact, and it is much broader than that. It really lives in a gray area.
It's a spectrum.
Absolutely. And so if we focus on the fake news, we're missing a lot of the conversation. And so I think it's really important for us to be able to have more nuanced conversation about it, because we have to steer clear of believing everything we hear and see or not believing everything we hear or see. Most of it is somewhere in between, and media literacy is really going to help us see those in-between areas.
You're an educator, you do this every day. Your biggest piece of advice, your tip for President Trump or anybody watching?
Well, I think it's really important we have to ask questions about the media we're consuming and creating. We have to know what is the purpose of the message, who made the message, what values are they communicating, what's missing from the message, and also how do different people interpret the message. And we really need to be good at doing that with everything, including when we're looking at our feeds, including when we're watching shows, when we're consuming a film. We have to really be willing to think and to ask questions.
When everybody's a source, what's reliable? That's what it all comes down to.
Yes, and we need to understand what that source is. I take issue with a lot of people that are like, well, I'm getting my news from Facebook. The truth is that they're not getting their news from Facebook. They might be curating the news, but it might be an article from the Times, or it might be an article from Breitbart. And we need to recognize where those sources are coming from.